we got to think back to why we're here. We're here in this project because there was a lack of ability for the private sector to deliver. We had
the Conservatives blame that on your government.
Well, we had a Houston company that went back to Houston and basically abandoned Albertans and abandoned Alberta. And so we had to step in.
They abandoned them? I mean, they were facing huge amounts of political uncertainty, right? You got a government in BC that's saying, we don't want this pipeline here. Lots of Indigenous communities saying we're willing to do what it takes to stop this. I mean, if you were running that private company, would you take on that risk?
Well, actually, you've pointed out perfectly. Those were the reasons.
Well, no, she didn't point it out perfectly because she only described the government in British Columbia, as well as, again, the media always does this. They highlight the First Nations communities that oppose the pipelines and ignore all the voices like the ones I talked about earlier in the show that promote the pipelines and promote Canadian industry. And so, of course, Bill Morneau is going to say, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. That was a political uncertainty. Well, no, Bill Morneau. No, it was the federal government that created the uncertainty. It was the feds that blocked the pipelines. It was the feds that banned tanker ships off the West Coast. So if you're talking about the political uncertainty, you cannot just simply ignore the federal government and the role that Justin Trudeau has played, and not to mention the carbon tax, not to mention the just total inability, again, of things to get done in this country. And for Bill Morneau to just sit there and say, oh, this Houston company abandoned Alberta. No, the federal government abandoned Alberta. The feds abandoned Alberta. They created a regulatory situation where it's just hostile to businesses, and you can't really blame the businesses for leaving Alberta when you have the type of governance that we have in Canada. The Trudeau government is just so clueless. They're so clueless. Okay, let's move on.